When you open up your first section IKEA cabinet, this is what you're going to see. Got a couple of different things here. These two big pieces with all of the lines of holes in it. These are going to end up being your two sides of the cabinet. This one right here, where one side is mostly white other than this ridge on the bottom, and the other side has a bunch of holes. This is your bottom piece. These sets of 4 holes all are going to ultimately have feet. So that's where the feet will go. This flimsy thing is going to be the back of your cabinet. And this metal rail goes on top and basically helps hold these two sides together. You'll also have a nice little box of, little screws and whatnot. You'll notice that I'm sitting on a blanket right now, kind of dirty sawdusty blanket. You should, when you're assembling your cabinet, it's really helpful if you're not assembling this on carpet to have something down so that the corners don't accidentally hit the ground and break off. They're pretty sturdy cabinets, but nevertheless, I think it's beneficial to have something protecting the cabinet from your hard floor. If you've ever assembled IKEA furniture before, you know that they are meticulous with how they do their drawings in the assembly guide. Because of that, I always try and make sure that I've laid out my pieces the exact same way they have in the guide. And because of that, it's really important in number 1 that we lay out the pieces so that the ridges are at the edge of each of the pieces. So these 2 ridges right here should be on opposite sides. And the reason for that is ultimately we are going to slip that back flimsy piece into these ridges and they have to line up. So therefore it's important that you've laid it out the same way they have. Once you have, you'll take these, screw things or half screw things that have threads on the bottom and you'll put them in these small holes along the bottom of the pieces. So I use a screwdriver for this part, not a drill driver, simply because it's just, not that much to screw in. Now, in step 2, we are attaching this side piece to this bottom piece. To do that, we'll basically take these 3 dowel rods and place them in holes that are at the side of the bottom piece, then basically stick these 2 together. Now, I don't feel like IKEA does the best job of showing you where these dowels go, simply because there are multiple holes to choose from on the side. You have 2 different holes here, and it's not really clear from the IKEA instructions which ones the dowels need to go into. The secret is to realize the dowel rods will never go into a hole that's aligned with this big circle. This big circle, basically you'll put something in here that tightens a screw later. So the little circle at the side that aligns with the big circle is for these screws to go into, not the dowels. So if you have a circle here, you don't want to put your dowel into these circles or to the holes that align with this circle. So you'll put the dowels into the other hole that is in the side. And if you mess that up, just grab some pliers and you can pull these right out. It's not a big deal. So step 3 is, as I was kind of alluding to before, these bigger holes. You have these little tightener things that go into these holes and tighten the screw. The key to this is that the arrow should be pointing in the direction of the screw, which in this case, the screw goes like this, so the arrow should be pointed down. So we'll slip that in, grab a screwdriver, and tighten. So in step 4, we are attaching the other side to our base and side. Once again, with the 3 dowels and pushing them into the holes on the side and then pushing everything together. Once again, the dowels will not be aligned with the big circles. They'll go in the hole that is not aligned with those circles. Note that this time, since these are aligned a little bit differently, my arrow is going to point to the side, not down, since my screw is coming from the side. Okay, in step 6, we are prepping these rails. Thing to notice, if you're just using the standard rails that these came with, or that came with these cabinets, they're identical. There are some fancier rails that you can purchase or use if you have like a cutout or something like that, but for just the standard rails on most of your cabinets. These two are identical. It does not matter which one you use to go in the back with these little click things. Okay, so in step 7, we are putting the back piece into place and then securing it with our little rail thing. Note about this, I've moved or I've turned my cabinet so it's facing up now. This isn't the sturdiest of positions, but it's easier to screw down than screw sideways. So that's why I'm doing it so it doesn't match the picture. The other thing you'll want to be careful with in this step, this flimsy piece, one side of it is white, the other side of it is brown. You want the white side to be facing into the cabinet so that you don't have to look at the ugly brown side forever. I mean, it's not a big deal if you mess it up, but like... Also note, this will be towards the top because the brackets that attach the cabinet to the wall go in this spot. So you want these little cutouts to be on top, not at the bottom. One more thing to note here, when you go to screw this in, you're gonna wanna make sure you're using the screws that are flat, not the screws that are rounded. So they're these shorter rounded ones. These are not the ones you wanna use here. You wanna use the longer ones with the flat head, not the shorter ones with the rounded head. So steps 8, 9, and 10 are all about nailing these nails into place. There's some debate about if it actually matters where you put these nails. Since it's not that hard to stick the nails where Ikea tells you to, I tend to put them where Ikea tells me to, so why not? Step 11 has you attaching these bracket things, or bump outs from the wall. These just make it so that the bottom of your cabinet bumps out the same amount as the brackets at the top. Finally, we're putting on the front rail. Once again, we're using the long screw with the flat top, not the shorter one with the rounded top. Finally, we'll put the brackets on. This time we're using the short, fat screws. The short, fat screws, not any of the longer ones. So finally you have something that actually looks like a cabinet. There are a couple of small steps left, like attaching the feet, but for the most part, this is the process. I'm actually going to stop here since my cabinet's not getting feet. I'm actually going to be putting it on casters because it's going in my basement shop area. I'm totally remodeling everything and I am really excited to see how it turns out. If you're interested and you are too, make sure you hit subscribe below. Thanks and see you next time.